Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 12th episode of the Divine Mess. We can't believe that we have reached 12 weeks. We have been recording consecutive week. We have been showing up. And to be honest, that's something I really look forward to. And unfortunately, we couldn't record on our usual day. So it feels like something is missing.
I had
And
withdrawal symptoms.
it's
It was
like,
not
what's
good, was it?
happening? It's like there's something wrong with my day, but that's how I look forward to it. By the way, if you're first time listening, I'm Kirtideva Perman, but today I'm not going to introduce myself. I have been challenged gently by my co-host, the lovely Tina Mary, right? Did I say it right?
Close.
Mary.
It's that lovely French accent. Mari.
Mary. So I
Mari.
can't say it. It doesn't sound good from me.
Doesn't sound good from the French side of things,
No,
does
it
it?
doesn't.
No.
But I'm very honored to introduce her. We have known each other, we say like for 18 months, but it feels like we have known for 18 lives.
Ever.
And it's like those connection when you see that person is that's part of my tribe. And she's a mom of 4 boys, like she like to say. She's the self-love coach. Self-love, or is it return to love coach?
Return to love. Yes. And a lot of people find that very hard. But I'll let you keep going because you're doing an amazing job.
And I don't want to talk about the partner, but I know if I start to, she will start blushing right now like she's doing, if you can't say it. But I must say she's one of the funniest person I know. She loved dropping the F-bomb. She always find quotes or says stuff in a way that make me question my English, that my knowledge of English. So I have to Google sometimes, but she
I didn't know that.
No, I'm just kidding. But that's how she is. She always find a way to make me see the situation in a different light. And she will be very blunt and honest with me. And she will give me the kick in the ass. So I'm very honored and she's good at what she does in terms of intuition. I always call her the intuition queen, but she never owned it. But now Mother Mary is taking care of that. But
that's another topic. Oh,
she's not accepting that yet, which is
I'm getting the hang of it.
Which is our topic today. But I'm going to leave that to her to introduce me because we are challenging each other, right?
We are asking each other to step outside the comfort zone because it's always interesting when you have to describe what someone else does. It's interesting to hear the feedback of going, oh, I didn't know people saw me like that. I didn't realize that people thought that, that was a particularly good part of my skill set. So I will introduce my gorgeous Mauritian New Zealand friend. He is Kirtideva Perryman, and like he said, we have been friends in this lifetime for a very short space of time, but I think in previous lifetimes over and over and over again in many different iterations. But it was very much that when we met each other, it was like, there you are. I was wondering when you were going to show up. So my very gorgeous friend is the science behind our podcast. He is an amazing coach. He works in the space of helping men in that toxic masculinity space. So helping them to get in touch with their feelings and to be their wingman when it comes to peeling back the layers and having a look at what it actually means to be a man in the 21st century, because I think no longer can we rely on the ego and the I am right, when actually admitting that we're wrong and vulnerability can be one of the most powerful assets that you can have in your toolkit. He is an avid triathlon man. He is like my partner. He's crazy. He likes to cycle forever in a day with a very sore behind. He likes to run and he likes to swim in the ocean. It is one of his favorite places to be. He is also a very avid karate member in his local community, as much as he loves to don the white suit, because I think it's about him shining his light by wearing the white. You know, he just gets to stand out and go, I am the light, I am the way forward. But he also finds my life very amusing. He sees that my life is the Netflix special every week, and that he doesn't need to hire Netflix on his TV, because he just talks to me, because he gets romance and comedy and family drama and everything thrown in the mix when we have our conversations on a daily. He is a great spiritual leader. I find that when I am lacking in my spiritual faith, I can always turn to him, or he will drop something in my inbox and I'll go, yeah, okay. When I'm not surrendering enough, he kind of casually reminds me with a swift kick up my butt that I need to surrender a little bit more and accept that I have gifts and that I should be utilizing them on a more frequent basis. So with that note, we will be adding to our A series today and talking about acceptance, the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with that word. So now that I've had my chance to introduce my gorgeous French-speaking friend, I'll allow him to kick off and say, when was a time where he wasn't accepting of a situation, of his gifts, and what was the outcome of not accepting that?
Thank you for the lovely introduction. And I think people will learn a little bit more about me by hearing you, and which is, I'm not accepting that yet, but that will change over the course of this podcast.
Correct.
But I would, your question is like, to answer your question is like going back in my teenage years or before that, I would say, it would be accepting myself in terms of like my flaws, or what I saw as the ugly, like you like to say, what was not working out, but that where I was focusing on back then. Like being bullied for my skin, how my teeth look, or how do I look, and what people would say about my religion, for example. And and it's not accepting. But now I reflect, when I did my inner work and reflecting on those areas, it was me judging myself. It was me not accepting who I am. And at the core, I know that I'm like, I think Wayne Dyer, who said that we are a spiritual being in a human body, but I was not accepting both the spiritual side of things and both my physical body as well back in that time. And it didn't help at all. Like it would be like a
That sounds great, Wayne, but what am I supposed to do with that?
it's like because it didn't help me to I would say progress, like in terms of my spiritual journey. Back then I thought it was not helping, but it's what made me who I am today. And that's what I'm accepting now. That was who I am, more like accepting that light. And it goes back to that quote of Marianne Williamson, who said like, it's not of our darkness that we are scared, it's our light. And for me, it's like accepting those gifts, like, because I did have spiritual experiences, but I ignored them completely. I was like, no, I'm not worth it. I'm not good enough to accept that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Really? Yeah, I was like, for example, I still remember I had like one of those, I think I talk about it in my book when I was thinking of committing suicide, and I wrote that I heard that voice that protected me in a way. And it was like hard to accept in that moment that, oh, actually I have a guardian angel, like, oh, there's a higher power. And that was hard to accept. or if I see or feel like beings, like what you could call angels, or
Mhm.
our numbers, angel numbers that we see like triple. For me, it was always 1123, like
Yeah.
1 2 3. So I didn't know back then what it meant, but it was always everything is in order. So
Yes.
every time I look at the clock, it was 1123 every single day. Like for during my teenager, I still remember that. And that was like something I couldn't accept, that how can I see that? Like, and I know, for example, I was good at playing football, but I will never said it out loud until today. Like I never said that, and it's still, for me, it will be like in my mind right now that I'm telling you, I'm like comparing myself already to those big players, right? And I'm like, how can you, like there's Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi
Hmm.
and those players. It's like, but I always compared that, and that's a lack of acceptance back then that
Yeah.
I will not say out loud to anyone, you know.
Mm.
And in my journey, I learned how to accept myself, like even the ugly part, even like the one that I like, that dark moments when you think of committing suicide, for example, like suicide
Mm.
ideation. And that's something that we don't talk about and we are scared to speak about. And
Yes.
for me, it's like we need to address that. We need to talk about that and accept, look, there's a time in your life, maybe it's not happened to everyone,
Yeah.
that you reach that point where it's so low, where you feel alone, that you can't share it with anyone, because everyone sees you as the happy kid, and you have to maintain that role.
Mm.
And even if I was not fully happy, I had to maintain that role. I had to show up to the world that I was happy. I had to show up and go to school even if I was being bullied. And I
Mm.
couldn't accept that situation, that I couldn't speak up for that situation back then. I
Yeah.
couldn't talk about it
Yeah.
until I didn't accept what was happening and how it triggered me or it affected me, like maybe emotionally, and maybe because like trauma, or in a way, it's not like
Mm.
events, but it goes like trauma,
Yeah.
and how I view myself, how I accepted myself.
Yeah.
Because back then I was seeing myself through those people's eyes. It was not through my eye.
It wasn't the actual truth. It was
Mm,
their skewed version of their own perception
yeah,
of themselves, or
yeah,
saw something in you that they went, I want that and I can't have that. So in order to make me feel better, I'm going to make you feel awful.
yeah, yeah. And it's like back then I would think that I'm the bad one. Like I would
Yeah.
be, that would be my truth then. I would accept that as my truth. And it became my truth for a lot of years, until
Yeah.
I came onto that journey of psychology. And I'm like, oh, okay. That what I heard back in the days
Mm.
really affected me, actually. Like it really made me feel like bad about myself. And I was like, how can I love myself? How can I love those parts? But it,
Yeah.
until you don't, I would say I didn't accept what happened in the past or acknowledge it, I couldn't progress in my spiritual journey. Like
And
there
I
was,
think there's so many people that are happy to accept other people's versions of them and live that as their truth when it's
yeah,
not their truth at all.
no,
So it's interesting to, from my perspective, because like we've explained before, we have this very spiritual friendship, but understanding of our human experiences, it's not something that you and I touch on a
yeah,
lot.
mm,
Like past stuff, it's very much present and future focused
yes, yeah,
for us. So it's kind of hard for me to envision you in a space where you're not accepting of the gifts that you have, and that you're not seeing, the wonder and delight that you are. that to me is, it's surprising, but I can understand how you would have felt in that low spot, and then going, how do you crawl out of that? How did you go, hang on a minute, I'm not sure if this is actually the truth, it's actually my truth. How did you transform that? Was that not until you went to school, or was it like university, or was it a progression with conversations with your dad, or how did it transform for you?
I feel there is a lot of factors that help me. There's a lot of help that I got. I call them like catalyst teachers, like they really help my journeys, my journey. But it's interesting what you just said before. I would like to touch base with that first. Is like you couldn't imagine how I was before, right? But the funny thing is, like, I have group of friends who come from that year, like my teenager and even primary.
Okay.
So we still meet, we're still in contact with some of them. And they seen me change, and they tell me, wow, you were not like that. And they see my growth. And that's when I know that I have grown out of it.
Yeah.
For me, it started when I started back in 2010, I think, 13 years ago, when I started my psychology with counseling journey, where you need to know yourself. Like, you really need to dig in I felt I dig in my past, because there were exercises where you need to journal about how I was using a lot of the theories. So for me, how I learned my psych degree was applying the theory to my life. So every theory that I learned during the term or something, every module, I will look at my life through the eyes of this particular, for example, Carl Jung, if you know psychology, or Freudian one. And I would use that. I would see my life through those eyes and try those different theories until I found that there's more beyond those theories, which is the spiritual side of things, that where science can't really explain, where the science stop and say, wait a second, we can't do experiment to determine how you feel about that. Like we can't do that. We can't prove that.
Yeah.
And I feel like sitting down, exploring my past with guidance of counselors or teachers that came across my way, or even books that I read, that really helped me to face my past and accept who I am. And it's a daily task, I would say, that I have to do, to really recognize who I am, and accept that light on a daily basis, and really embrace it. For example, one simple thing would be my name, right? You know me as Kirtireva, but I used to have another name before that. And back then, when I got my name from my spiritual guru, I didn't accept that. And if I struggled with that. So I was given that name, Kirtireva, in 2000, right?
Okay.
I didn't accept that until I think I moved to New Zealand, which is 2019.
Okay.
Yeah,
so if that's the name that you were given by your guru, how were you known prior to that?
So I was known as Ruben, and that was my previous name. But when I was given my name, I call it in my previous life now. Back then is I didn't like that name Kirtireva back then, because I find it was when I was saying it, doesn't sound right. But it was just me not accepting the meaning of it, because Kirtireva
what does it mean?
means God of light in Sanskrit. or angels of light. If you translate it like literally, it means, because Deva means angel, right?
Yeah.
So Kirtideva means God of light. So I was given that name for my purpose, right? And we all know now, like I know that now. And it was hard for me to accept that. Like I couldn't see myself. I was like, no, I can't be that angel of light or God of light. I felt it was a weight for me to carry for a long time. And that's why I struggle with that. And I never used that name until I came to New Zealand. Even if on my certificate it was written Kirtideva, I was like, no, I'm not going to use that. So I still told people that I was named Ruben. And in Mauritius, they still
You've got a sandwich.
Is it?
Well, it is a Reuben sandwich. It's like corned beef and Swiss cheese and coleslaw in a toasted sandwich. That's a Reuben. With rye bread. That's the other important.
Noted.
You're not a sandwich, my darling.
No. And some of my friends still call me like that because how they know me. But I don't mind it now because I know who I am now, and it's like embracing my life fully. So sometimes I will correct them, but I feel like because when you meet your friends back in the days, it's like you're going back in the days again. It's like if you meet your teenage group, it's like you feel like a teenager again. You get that feeling. With some people, you get that feeling.
Yeah.
So with some of my friends, I like, oh yeah, I will let that pass. So I will accept how it is. And that's a bit of my journey, I would say, like of acceptance, because there's a lot of, until I accepted my light, and it started with accepting my darkness first. Yeah. So if I didn't accept my dark side, I would never acknowledge and accept my light. And that was a major, like when I came to New Zealand, that I really dig in that spiritual side and really work on myself on accepting, acknowledging the light. And it's a constant reminder. Yeah. But I feel that you as well, you went on that journey of moving, like accepting what's happening to you. And
that's probably
yeah.
I suppose for me it was more once I had left my marriage, because I had accepted the roles that I was given. You're just, our favorite word, you're just a mum, you're just a wife, you're just a business owner. You cannot be anything else. There is no room for you to explore and be anything else. So for a long time I was accepting that was my lot, right? That this is as good as it gets, kid. Like you're a wife and a mum and a business owner, and you got the nice house and the pretty cars and all you should be happy. Why are you not? And I couldn't accept the not wanting more. Like I had this, there was something driving me, and bless her, it was probably Margaret Mary, who, for the listeners, is my grandmother, who passed away many, many moons ago. But she has decided to make an appearance in my life and assist me in kicking me in the ass, basically, and pointing me in the right direction. So yeah, I don't think my acceptance of abilities, relying on intuition, the clairs that I have buried within me, I don't think I looked at that really, or even begun to look at it until I was out, without all the noise that came from being in such a dramatic relationship and everybody telling me what I was supposed to be doing. It wasn't until I had to sit with myself, and you probably would have experienced the same when you moved to New Zealand, that all of a sudden there was all this deafening silence. Like there was nobody there telling me how I should behave, what I should eat, you know, how I was supposed to look, what I could drink, you know, what was the right way about, you know, coming home, keeping a house, doing all the stuff. And I think there was, you know, there was a time where I had to unzip, have a look at my ugly and go, well, how did I contribute to all of the mess that I currently find myself in, and accept my part in it, you know, because you can't very well just turn around and say, well, it's all their fault. You know, it's everybody else's fault, because we are the creators of our own reality. So, you know, I was laying all of this stuff out for me to learn all these amazing lessons that I learned from being in a long-term relationship, having family members like I had. You know, what was I supposed to take from that? And then accepting gifts is hard. You know, as you've said, accepting your ability, accepting to, and trusting, I think, is a big thing that comes with acceptance, is being able to trust that those gifts are there for a reason, and that they can be relied upon, like your best friend, you know, and trusting that intuitiveness that I have in going, someone's not telling the truth in that space, you know, they're giving me part of it, not all of it. And that kicked in really hard for me once I had left my marriage. I knew when my ex was lying to me. I knew when he wasn't telling me the truth. I could read people better. I had a better grip on, you know, like when someone sends you a message and says, oh, this, that, and the other, and you go, you're not actually telling me the truth. And when, like you say, when you go and you try and explore things a little bit more deeply with people, other people don't want to explore on the same level as you. Other people aren't willing to accept where they are. But there is that flip side of acceptance where you're accepting your lot in life and you're going, this is it. This is what I've got. You know, I can't be any better. I can't lose weight. I can't run 21 Ks. I can't learn a language. I can't, you know, all of that. They're accepting that it's just it. But you have to accept that you're designed for more. You have a purpose when you come to this lifetime and choose this suit that you're wearing. Your soul is choosing these things for you, but until you accept that that is what your role is, there's going to be this argy-bargy hustle grind, feeling really awkward, because you're not accepting your gifts. You're not accepting the fact that you can tell 6 ways from Sunday when someone's not being truthful to you, or that you get messages from the divine, or that you're meant to go and share your message with the world via podcast or book, or however it looks, or you know, or whether your thing is to be the local barista and share sunshine with everybody every single day of the week. You know, that's accepting gifts is challenging, and I'm still working on that. Like David said, you know, they are daily practices of how do I show up? How do I be of service? How can I be the best version of myself today? What can I take away from yesterday? How could I have done that better? You know, could I have given better advice? Could I have given no advice and still the same outcome? You know, happen? Can I accept that sometimes the relationship between other people is not going to be what I hoped it would be? That, you know, they have to find a way through the muck and the mud themselves. You know, all I can be is a light and an example that there is a better way of doing it. But until you're ready to see that, I have to accept that I can't lead you to the light. You've got to come looking for it. And until then, you have that real human muggle struggle, like it's just what it is.
So, yeah, but I have a question like for you, because based on what you shared, is like, what was the moment for you stop being a muggle? For those who don't understand, it's an analogy in Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
So it's like basically saying that you're a human who don't believe in magic. That's
Correct.
what I'm saying. That's my definition.
Yes, yeah, no, and it's true. People that I think don't see the magical possibilities that their life can have, and I think it was during that time that, because I constantly compared, a bit like you, constantly compared myself not to superhero athletes, but to the women that I was surrounded by, who each had unbelievable, some human gifts, some more spiritual gifts. And I just looked at myself and went, I got nothing, in comparison to all of these amazing women. I'm drawing a big fat zero, like I've got. And then we went away for a girls' weekend, and we went and had, as you do, let's go get a reading, let's go find the quickest crystal shop that we can go and sit in, and let's go have a tarot reading. And I sat with this woman in this, literally, it was like a sound booth. It was just a tiny, tiny little room. And she said to me, why are you hiding? I went, hiding what? And she said, you come with a cast of thousands. She said, your energy is massive and you're hiding. Why are you hiding? I said, I've got nothing to give. And she said, you believe that, then you're lying to yourself. And she said, you are stronger and more powerful than all those women that you have come with. And I'm like, but funny, when you're sitting around having a wine that night and everybody's going, what did she say to you? What did she say to you? And I said, well, she said, I've got some things I need to work on.
Oh.
Like, downplayed it big time, because, you look at someone that, has amazing, dialing with the divine, and, another one that was an amazing, like from a human perspective, amazing copywriter, and, a brilliant way with words, and thought, I could never do words like she does words. I do words in my own way now. I've worked that one out. And another one that seemed to, have all these, the amazing ability to connect people, and another girl that, could do all sorts of magical, mystical, wonderful things. And I felt like the muggle under the stairs. Like I just did not feel like I fit in that. So it took a long time to see my own potential and be accepting of that when I'm in full divine feminine flow, I know stuff that I have no way of knowing, but I still know it. I know that these things will, this is going to eventuate, and this is going to happen, and this is what it's going to look like, and everything's going to go really smoothly, but you need to, kind of do this, this, and this, and then this outcome will happen. And like people go, well, how do you know that? My sons just look at me and go, that's your voodoo witchy magic stuff, Mum. And I'm like, it just comes in my head and out my mouth. Like I don't know how the channel works. I don't have any clear vision of how that happens. It just happens. It just in my head and out my mouth, and half the time I don't even realize what I've said. I just see these like dumbstruck expressions on people's faces on the other side of the table. And it's like, well, you are a channel, you are a conduit for information, and you have to be mindful as to how you deliver that information. And for those who, as my love is very scientific and will believe it when he sees it, versus me, I believe it before I see it. So we're very yin and yang with each other. So I need to be mindful in the way that I utilize my gifts and share information. So you have to be mindful of your audience. You have to be mindful of their stage and where they're up to. You have to accept them for who they are and how they take on information. My boys just get it flat out because they've watched me grow in the way in which I handle these, God-given gifts that Margaret Mary has bestowed on me. Apparently we come from a long line of healers, and that, we were medicine women, and we were the women in our communities that people would come to for assistance, help, advice, healing, whether that be on a physical level or on a spiritual level. And I'm just starting to kind of try and do this deep dive within my family to understand and accept what that means, because my mum doesn't know of it or know how to explain it. So, for me, there has to be a level of acceptance that I'm a bit bloody special, and that, I have gifts that can be of assistance to other people. So I need to show up and serve every day.
Yeah.
But being mindful that whilst accepting those gifts, I have to be of service to myself and accept that I need to take care of me first. That's been the massive lesson of my life, is accepting that, if we, those that are more spiritually inclined, we want to help people, we want to be of service, but we often neglect our own needs, and we're not very good at taking care of ourselves until we're forced hard. We get hard time out to recognize that we need to continue our own healing journey, that we need to, practice self-care religiously, so that we can take care of others. We can, hold space for a lot of people, because as we grow, our ability to hold space and hold the heaviness that mankind is dealing with, we can do that, but it's not unless we nurture and take care of not only our humans but our spiritual side as well.
And I feel that, while you were speaking out, something came up. Like, I realized that a lot of, because we have been talking about accepting our light, accepting ourselves, and sometimes people, because I have been hearing that lately, is like, with my friends, for example, they will talk about situation where they are not ready yet to see themselves out, accepting themselves, but they are focusing on others, and they are like, I am dealing with this situation I can't change. So my question, like, to you, like, from your perspective, because I often tell them, like, look, you can't change people, you can't change the situation, but what are the steps would you like, if you have a recommendation or the one tip where they can move into that acceptance that, what, I can't change how the other person react, or I can't change how the situation is. So what is your one tip for you?
I think if we
of course,
if we look at everybody like the small humans that we are on the inside, and we accept that not everybody grows at the same rate, and not everybody has the same level of human, emotional, spiritual growth as we do. If we just look at everybody as that little 5-year-old human inside a big grown-up body, and be kind and know that their journey may not be about spiritual growth. Their journey may just be about it being, this time around, a hard human existence, where they always feel like, everything's going pear-shaped. And all we can do is offer almost, and I'll never get the pronunciation right, is I love you, please forgive me, thank you. And I've forgotten the last one. You'll remember it for me, won't you?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. There you go. I knew that was a tricky one. So the
yeah.
Thank you. Prayer is really good. It's it's that I'm sorry I've put my expectations on you. Please forgive me for doing that. I love you for who you are and where you're at, even though it might frustrate the hell out of me. I still love you for who you are and where you're at. And thank you for teaching me that I can't change you. Thank you for teaching me that I need to perhaps direct my energy elsewhere and leave you to work things out for yourself. And then come back and check back in, but still love them from a distance and share your good intentions for them. But sometimes you just got to let people trudge around in their own mud. You can't drag them out because they'll suck you in and you'll get caught in it.
And that's a lovely way. I feel like sharing the Ho'oponopono technique with people is a good reminder that I feel that's one of the easiest way towards acceptance. And especially, I think we mentioned in one of the episodes, it's like looking in the mirror and saying that prayer or those 4 sentences to yourself. And that will help you actually to really accept who you are and finding that divine that we have been talking, and see yourself as maybe the wizard or the witch within you,
or the healer or the mystic, or the the clairvoyant or the psychic, or the and sometimes for people it's just the ability to heal with their hands, or to heal with their voice, or to, everybody has a gift. It's just a question of unearthing it, and then once you've unearthed it, accepting that it's yours to do something special with.
And it's about constantly reminding you and telling yourself and surrounding yourself with people that will support who you are and accepting who you are as well, because sometimes your environment tells you otherwise, and you're like, wait a second, like Tina and Deva, I'm working on myself, but people around me are not changing. So what do I do in that situation? Or how do I change, or how do I accept them? And people might be thinking that you can't change that. You can't change their reaction, their action. You don't have any control. But what I tell people is you have control over your thoughts.
And you have control over your response.
Exactly.
They're the 2. You have control over your feelings, you have control over your thoughts, and you have control over the response that you choose when you're in situations that you can't change. And that's hard. And we say with gritted teeth, because sometimes we just want to go and shake people and say, really, have a good look at it. But the problem is people can't see. They're not awake, or they're not aware of their triggers or their buttons, or their inability to accept the situation for what it is and wanting to force it or jam it into a box and tie a pretty bow on it and make it all look beautiful, when it's meant to be this big, as we call it, divine mess of a life, and go, well, how do I rearrange it? How can I make it look different?
Yeah. And
That's-
accepting what you're going through as well is part of your journey, is like part of your growth.
Yes.
And not saying like, oh, I can't deal with that. Like, I can't see that another way. Because the moment you tell that to your mind, it's like, no, you won't find any other way. And that's part of acceptance as well, I feel. And I think there is a quote that says like the first step to change is awareness, and the second step is acceptance. And I feel that's true. And that's what we've been talking about for the past episode. It's like riding that wave, acknowledging that there is a wave, being aware there is a wave, but know that you have your surfboard. And by listening and tuning in like every week, you're getting tools that we learned on our journey, like on our healing journey, on our acceptance journey. And it's a daily work. It doesn't take like one session or one day.
Oh God, wouldn't that be beautiful?
And I know like Tina always tell me, oh no, it's like that moment, oh no, there we go again. It's like, you know, like when we have like the moon cycle, you know, like the super moon.
Riding the high and it's beautiful and everything's going smoothly. And then you're at the tip of the roller coaster and you're going, okay, we're going down now.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't want to go there. But that's riding the wave.
Yeah.
And that's accepting that life is like the waves, you know, like coming back at you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it won't be looking good, but that's where we go. That's where we decide that we want to change and accept what we are going through and accept who we are.
I think in accepting the feelings that we're feeling, and it's okay. It's okay to feel disappointment. It's okay to feel sadness. It's okay to feel anger. It's okay to feel what you feel. And the minute you give those feelings time and space, you know, if it's a day and you're going to sit there and you're going to marinate in all of it, give it time and space. Work your way through it. Write things down. Dance, yell, scream, do whatever you need to do to move those emotions through, and, you know, give them time to process. And the biggest question I think anybody can ask is, what am I meant to take from this? What is this showing me about myself? What do I need to learn and accept about myself that I'm refusing to look at? You know, because every person we meet, every situation we go into, every divinely messy thing that we have to move through, every divinely beautiful thing that we have to move through is teaching us something about ourselves and how we can grow, how we can be better at it. But once you understand that this acceptance thing is cyclic, what goes around comes around, and it comes around and it comes around. I think the easier it is to move through things, and knowing that there will be light and there will be dark. There's never always going to be sunshine, and it's not always going to be darkness and despair. If you give it space, you give it space to be, and then accepting it and going, oh, yeah, okay, I take that on board. And then going, okay, how do I move through? What do I do? You know, and if you don't have the answers to what do I do and how do I move through it, that's what we're here for. You know, we're here, we're available, we're happy to answer questions, to work with you, to do whatever it is to help you move through those times when it's turbulent, or you need an ear, or there's not people in your social circle that understand the spiritual journey that you're going on. mind you, at the same time, we're not doctors, we're not, practicing psychology, clinical psychiatrists. We don't prescribe anything. All we can prescribe is life altering habits that can change the way in which you move through time and space, speaking from personal experience. So even though my beautiful friend on the other side of the screen is qualified, shall we say, in a muggle term with a piece of paper, and I am Miss Practicality, I think between the two of us, there are things that, we can help you with the answers to the questions that you have. And if we don't, we have an amazing group of humans that surround us that we can point you in the right direction. So, my gorgeous friend, I think we have kind of not covered it, but we've given people something to think about when it comes to acceptance, that it is a two-sided coin, and we have to be careful of what side of the coin we are sitting on. And is there anything else that you would like to add to today's discussion before we sign off on this particular part of the A series?
I would like to because for me, the way I'm reflecting on our journey right now in terms of the podcast or whatever we have been sharing is like when we started with the F series, and it's like an ongoing journey, like if we didn't accept our gift, we would never start this podcast, right? We would never say, let's go for it. We would not be keen to share our light. And that's what I want people to be reminded, that you have something to share, you have a story to share. And if you don't accept who you are, you won't be able to enjoy the abundance, the one we spoke about in our last episode. You wouldn't be able to forgive people. That's what we talk about in the F series. You would not be able to face your fears if you don't accept them and see them how they are, and truly say, yes, these are my fears, these are my dark moments. And that's where our coaching and our life experiences or whatever we learn from other online mentors come into play. That we can help you, guide you, maybe guide you to someone, like Tina said, like we have a group of people that we know that we can guide you through that. Until you don't accept who you are, you won't be able to have fun. You won't be able to be free. So I feel that this topic, acceptance, resonate with everything we have been talking until now.
1000%. And there's a reason why this is the one that came up this week, because I had some lessons on acceptance this week, and I'm still moving through those. So I hope that everybody who has been listening this week recognizes and realizes that they are loved, whether they're told or not. You're getting it from us this week. We love you. We think you're amazing. And there are gifts that need to be unearthed. And don't be frightened of the journey, because as much as there are dark moments, there are beautiful moments of joy and fun and bliss and happiness and love. It's all there and it's waiting for you. You just have to reach out your arms and say, yes, I'm ready. So on that note, I will kick it across to my friend.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Tina, for sharing your wisdom. And
thank you.
I always look forward to your reminders from Mother Mary, like we like to nickname her.
Bless her heart.
From our divine being surrounding us. And also we accept you as you are, even if right now you might be struggling. Remind yourself like there are people out there who accept you as who you are.
Exactly. And you're perfect in your divine mess as you are.
And on that note, we say Have a good week.
Have an
Enjoy.
amazing week.
Enjoy yourself. Give love to yourself and to others. Share the kindness. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Fantastic. Can't wait. Episode 13. We'll catch you all then. Until then, take care.